Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Honest Conversations with Mo. I have a very special guest with me, Jasmine Brown, a great friend. Got to connect through social status and just, around the city. But Jasmine, go ahead, introduce yourself to the people and,
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, awesome. And thank you again, of course, for inviting me here. Shout out to
No,
you,
of course.
all the things. So yes, I'm Jasmine. I am, I'd say, a passionate person that is connected to art, music. I love to storytell through those channels. And I also, for a living, definitely love to create and connect with community through events and all of the things that way too. So just something short and sweet, but yeah.
No, love it, love it, love it. And I think that is a great way to segue into, because I just like to get, right into it, but segue into the first topic of today's episode. And that's, talking about, how we kind of look at, storytelling, as a healing modality. And I mean that in the sense of, sometimes, obviously we gotta we all tell stories. We all have, our own stories to tell. And in that, we got to also find a way to get through the, different traumas, the different, illnesses, things, we kind of go through day to day. Kind of give, a little insight into, if you don't mind sharing, kind of how do you go about storytelling for yourself, and how does that, in a way shape, how you heal, for yourself as well.
No, for sure. That is a actual, yeah, great question. And just being an artist and being able to sometimes not verbally be able to storytell.
Hmm.
I storytell through an art form as far as digital and collage works. So sometimes you're not always able to like, yeah, speak about something that you necessarily want to like showcase, but being able to put it in a space where people can kind of create their own story behind what you kind
Yeah.
of together and let them have their own interpretation of it, I think is super dope. Yeah, as a graphic, I definitely do graphic design and I do a lot of collage work as well. Yeah, I like to, collage as far as let's just say whatever that general story is, let's just say, is the black diaspora, which I
Yeah.
definitely love to connect and tap into. It could be, a story about a specific person and what that looked like to them. Like Harriet Tubman, using that for an example and what that looks like. So I love to storytell.
Hmm.
I feel like it can be dope because people can interpret it themselves as well too. So
No, definitely get that. And then you kind of spoke on, you like to do a lot of collage work. How do you combine the different elements, not only in the sense of how does, relate to yourself, but kind of, the piece that, you're, developing and creating, how does those different elements, kind of tie together?
no, yeah, great question. So actually, personally, how I do my works, I'd say is I definitely like to connect like future and past. So I
Hmm.
definitely bring in something that is old, that is traditional. If it is black and white, if it is something
Hmm.
that's nostalgic, that connects with something within the future. We are presently in the future, as
Yeah.
that we utilize a lot of our creative juices from past things. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like we've been on this earth as humans forever. So a lot have been, recreated. So I like to always connect back into the past and, infuse the two. So almost like a digital and analog world meets one. So I can use like several examples of different things I've done,
Yeah.
yeah, I do have one piece that I did everyone really loves is Josephine Baker, and it's like she's
Okay.
black dancing, but she's in like this beautiful, like futuristic, colorful world, but it's like, it's the translation of the two. I like to do the duality. So yeah.
No, I like that. I like that. And then on the note of duality, I think I want to get into, in that sense of, speaking of, healing, it's different parts of ourselves that, we're looking to, figure out. Because, there's that, that darkness and light, to your point of, that black and white that you kind of use within your art. But how do you feel, just in terms of when you are, developing a piece and going about, later on, sharing that piece, with the world? How does that differ? Do you sometimes, try to hold something back and, are like, oh, I'm not ready for it yet, or you just kind of let it go?
Yeah, no, for sure. So that's with the duality and the old and the new. I know it's a lot of modern ways that we're living, and I
Hmm.
definitely connect to older ways of living. And I feel like it is a balance between the two. So that duality question is great because it's like, how can I describe it? It give me that one more time. That first part that you asked me. 'Cause I'm
I
gonna
got you. I got you. Just in the sense of, so, like, dang, might have lost it. All right, we're gonna get it back. We're gonna get it back. But just in the sense of like when things shift for you in terms of the different pieces that you're developing and you're creating, how do you try to? Do you feel like sometimes you need to hold back parts of the story, or do you kind of fully just immerse yourself in what it is you're trying to tell and hope the audience hopefully catches it?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. It's just more too of like I don't try to hold anything back because I do
Mm,
have a where I can create something without me maybe getting particular backlash verbally. Like
yeah,
I'm it's like it's really how you interpret it. But again, I feel like making things and making pieces that has that duality aspect, it gives like a sometimes an uncomfortability of it,
yeah,
which that sometimes we don't want to like, see or dive into like that uncomfortable conversation, that darkness to something. We always kind
hmm,
of say, of course, towards like the positive, like, oh,
yeah,
this looks palatable for us to consume.
yeah.
No, that's in there that's like, nah, think, or nah, this is uncomfortable, or no, this is the reality? So
Yeah, no, I agree definitely. And I think sometimes we kind of, to your point, we try to stay so hyper focused on the positive that, it kind of dilutes, what the bigger picture actually is, or, meaning that we can gather from. And I think that's the unique thing about, storytelling, that I think of for myself is, how are we, envisioning something, not only coming together, but how are we vocalizing it? How are we showcasing, that part of ourselves that maybe we aren't, willing to, share, or, kind of, let the outside world in. And to your point, with your art pieces, I feel like, especially what I was able to pick up from, the pieces that I saw, you're immersing yourself in your pieces, even though maybe others aren't able to, gather that instantly. And I think you do a great job, not only, combining those different parts of yourselves and, your creativity, and, different parts of your personality, but also to your point of the different parts of, the world, as you said, that digital and analog of, the past and the present and the future. So I definitely, give you kudos on that. But
that.
what is it, of course, what is it that you feel like is a thing that you are looking to, share within yourself, when you're creating your pieces?
Oh, yeah, that is a great question, Mohammed. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, oh, okay. So the things I do create in itself are a
Mm,
little feel like bigger than myself. I haven't
mm,
really thought about that. I'm so focused sometimes on a bigger story I want to tell for like the majority of the group, which is who I connect with most, of course, is Black women. Black
mhm,
women, foundational Black Americans.
mm,
Um, and even too, I feel like, of course, all of us as, African American, African, all are still have somehow came here. So I'd like to like represent and have a conversation across the board, if that's Caribbean or, Afro,
mm,
whatever that looks like.
yeah.
But for myself, yeah, personally, dang, that's a great question. That's a great question. I'm gonna have to come back to that.
Okay, no, definitely, definitely, definitely. And
Yeah.
I think that segues.
Look, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was about to say, I personally like when I do create works, I personally want it to look
I got you. I got you. I got and I think, like I was gonna say, I feel like it segues perfectly into the next part, as far as how we go about, posting versus, kind of that expressing, those parts of ourselves, in the sense that, I think these days we look at, storytelling, as far as, social media and things like that. And I feel like, we have to constantly, feel like we have to, post something or share, those parts of ourselves. But how do you feel, or you look at the two of, just posting versus expressing in the sense of when do you feel like you're ready, share peace versus when are you, expressing those, those different emotions that you're dealing with as you're, creating that piece in its entirety?
Yeah. So you saying like how do I go about like posting or just like so I always like again, I love to provide information. That's why I say I feel like a lot
Hmm.
of the a little bit just bigger than myself. Like I do truly do it because I enjoy it, but I definitely want to be a source of like some type of teaching. So when I am posting it, I do kind of I want it to connect and be palatable. So I might may curate it just to not even say fit in with what's
Hmm.
happening. But I know for a particular group of people, certain people like how things look visually. You know what I'm saying? They're gravitated and they become interested in it due to who's posting it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? About
Yeah.
how it looks and trying to make it cool for you to receive information. You know what I'm
Very
saying? Like
true. Yeah.
whatever that looks like. I yeah. Personally, I definitely like raw dumps,
Hmm.
and it's more of, free formed. I don't really like too much polished carousels with posting on it, like, for example. I've started now doing voiceovers on TikTok, which I feel like I've been
Okay.
getting a or like traction from people like hearing my voice instead of just posting the works or
Hmm.
posting whatever one. If it is a day in the life vibe of me creating works and
Okay.
me actually speaking over it, I feel like I'm getting a lot more engagement. So I think that's
Okay.
cool. Bit more connectivity for people.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like to yeah.
And then you're saying, yeah, kind of that, that more audio, narration on TikTok. How do you feel like that's allowing you to, kind of tap into a different, different side of yourself that maybe, it took a little while to, obviously it definitely is uncomfortable, but,
Yeah.
it took a little while for you to, get over that uncomfortability and how are you, working through that?
Yeah, I'm just working through it. I'm just definitely pushing it a day at a time for sure. And it's like, okay, like what's the worst that can happen at this point?
Yeah.
No one has died from
Very
it.
true.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Very
just
true. Yeah.
like, okay, you don't want to talk? Like, cause I'm country. So I used to be
Mhm.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
people don't like to hear themselves talk. They be like, oh my
No, I
gosh.
get it. I definitely struggle with that. Sometimes I'll be like going back and like listen to an episode or like I'm recording a clip and I'm like, this sounds weird. And I'm like, okay. But I have to, get through it and you obviously post it. But definitely something working through of, getting it's not that, I dislike the sound of my voice. Of course, I love the sound of my voice, but I think it's just like you really hear yourself like, wait, that's how I sound like? Okay.
Yeah.
It's so is that and then in the terms of, kind of, that, posting versus expressing too along those lines of, um, when do you feel like when you're posting? Because I think for me, I definitely, get this like I always try to make sure that I'm, always, remaining authentic to, myself, and not, going outside the box. That's why obviously I hardly ever post, on Instagram outside of the gym content that gets reposted or just the podcast in general. So, how do you feel like you try to stay within yourself when you are posting your content or just sharing those parts of yourself as you said starting in the audio narration piece on TikTok or things like that.
Yeah, I just do it for me. I definitely do it for
Mm,
me. Love to create. I've been like this since I was a child. Cool. Shout
mm.
out to Instagram, but if without y'all or TikTok, I was gonna be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
As
facts.
far
Yeah, I like that.
like, so I
Mhm.
do it for me. If y'all think it's cool and y'all want to connect and tap in, that makes it even more cooler. That means it is,
Yeah.
it's cool,
Y
right? Like,
it's like people gravitate towards it. Okay, I like that, right? Yeah.
so a little cool, like reassurance. But then again, it's like you may not still get a lot of engagement, but you have
Yeah,
that did engage, and it could be a niche, small pocket of people that we relate on the same things.
yeah,
I'm cool with that. I do it for me. Whoever's interested in my world and they want to participate in my world,
facts. Yeah,
travel, good food, good sports. Let's talk about it. Like,
I
so
like it, yeah. Okay, I like that, I like that, and then to your point, I feel like that engagement piece, people rely on so much these days because we
much.
are trying to everybody's, trying to that instant gratification, everybody's trying to, trending, go viral and things like that, but I think sometimes we lose sight of, what are we, really telling about ourselves when we're, chasing that high and chasing that rush of, oh, is this post gonna go viral and things like that. And I think when we look past that and just, remain our true authentic selves, that's typically, we find, our audience and our niche crowd that gravitates to us regardless. So definitely get that. And then I want to get segue into, how do you use or what are your outlets to express outside of your art, but just, kind of in general. Like for me, obviously as much as, you try to push me to, do it, was that social status as far as,
Yeah.
the poetry and things like that. Obviously don't perform as much as I should, but, obviously I have that as an outlet, journaling, just,
Uh,
this podcast. But how about for yourself? What are those different outlets for you?
yeah. So I'd say outside of art, I am huge when it comes down to the music. Okay. I love music. I actively vinyl collect. I really feel like I should open
Okay.
up probably a record shop soon. Like, cause my
Okay.
collect,
I like it. I like it.
yeah, it's getting
Okay.
kind of, so I want to be able to share that with people too, and be able to kind of connect that with art and with like, me doing like events and stuff. I'm still
Hmm.
trying to what that looks like. But yeah, the music for sure is like another outlet for me. It's a huge
Hmm.
hobby. Like,
Okay. How many records would you say you have?
and
Okay.
compared to the people that really are vinyl collectors, it's probably not a
Uh,
lot.
okay.
Probably close to probably got close to like 80 records.
Okay.
It's not too
Mm,
bad. It's kind of, and that's another thing. If while we're here, I just want to tell
mhm.
everyone, please buy physical media, y'all. Like, if you
That's very true.
paying for streaming services, if it cuts off tomorrow, we've been spending money on a streaming service every month, and we don't own any music.
True. That is true. Yeah. I do
Period.
have a bad habit of that. I need to get back into owning because I never got into like the vinyl thing. Not that I was like against it, but I think it was just because like getting the whole record player and things like that. I was like, all right, this might be too much finding space for it, things like that.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you on getting because I
uh,
think that goes back to those outlets of the fact that this artist took the time not only curate their music and share their story and where they are in that period of their life and just making that small investment. And I want to say it was a recent interview I saw J. Cole. He was talking about, I think it was like Lost in Vegas, but he was just talking about in general about how um moving, leading, with your heart. And when you make that investment of like your favorite artists and things like that, that's leading with your heart versus sometimes, we lead, with, just, you know, maybe not with our heart and just,
yeah.
getting feeling like, oh, that's how, these whole, discussions and, different conversations happen on social media where people are, bickering back and forth over, senseless topics or, the different comparison games that kind of go on, whether it's in music or just, life in general. But I agree with you. Definitely, got to support not only the arts, and getting, physical media, but also, supporting, artists just in general and, being willing, buy their pieces for sure.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely, absolutely.
And then before, closing out, segueing into what we have next, I want to get back to what the question I asked earlier. I don't know if you have your answer yet, just in terms
Oh,
of
yeah.
what is it, kind of that personal connection that you have with your pieces that, tell that story about yourself of, kind of what you're willing to, express and share about you that people might not identify with instantly.
Yeah, no, that's now I think about it, the way you worded it, I think I got it now a little bit. What I want people definitely to see when within my pieces, when I create, like again, like when I said I do a lot of things that are connected to the past and present and slash future. I just want people to see within myself. I am the first grandchild and the first great child, and I do have a very big connectivity to like my elders.
Hmm.
When I do not say I live in the past, but I do have a space of connectivity to the
Hmm.
past. I feel like our generations before us paved the way in so many different ways. So I always want to pay respect in some sort of way. Of
Hmm.
course, things that they've given us, tools, whatever that looks like to navigate life. I want to showcase that in the works by showing that future side or present side of what I've learned and what I've been able to gather from like family members and ultimately God for sure. Ultimately across the
Hmm.
board, that's all, in representation of that. And just being able to, yeah, showcase who I am. I am self-taught. I have not
Okay.
been to art school. I went to a performing
Hmm.
arts teenager, but I went to school for dance. So I didn't learn any
Okay.
artsy things. I pretty much have taught myself between different platforms and just taking the time to just wanting to learn a new craft. And like I said, connecting the things that I have in my brain to, to the pen and to the paper and just, let the world see for what it is. So,
No, I love that. I love that. And that's all you can do. Like you said, I think, you know, you went to performing, art school for, for dance, but your outlet became, just, with your brush. And so that's definitely interesting how, you kind of made that transition.
yeah.
And do you still got dance moves?
If y'all know how old I am, I just haven't danced in a while. But I know that
Okay.
and people do always say I walk and kind of like, oh, yeah, you used to dance. I'm like, oh, yeah, we can see it now. But yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I really should actually pick that up. I need to find if you know any places outside of like,
Hmm.
because people are Pilates and yoga. That was kind of like my connection with dance a little bit.
Hmm.
So, move and flow like that. Cause I did like
Hmm.
ballet, learned in point. So hip hop choreography stuff, but more of like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. More classical
Yeah.
dance.
Well,
Gotcha.
dance.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
Okay.
get that kick a little bit with like yoga and Pilates just because it's still like strength conditioning and
Hmm.
core workouts and stuff. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it. And then segue now into I don't know how much too much you've been watching the NBA playoffs. My Lakers. We up 3-0 right now. Feeling real good.
About.
But who do you like? So far. In the playoffs right now that you've been watching. And just your thoughts so far on NBA playoffs so far.
Absolutely, the Lakers. Shout out to the Lakers. Shout out to
Okay, okay, I like it. Laker gang, Laker gang.
yes, Laker gang all the way. Like I always tell,
Okay,
I was Laker fan when it was Kobe, so that's why
okay, see, I like that. Okay.
I love Kobe. So shout out LeBron, shout out Luca, and shout out AR. Okay, I don't think
To
niggas.
let them know. See, exactly. You
I love Austin Reeves. He's low key like one of my favorites for real. He's a
okay.
dog. He
He
be go-
is.
yeah, he just be I don't
And
know.
and they get to chill, we making like work in Houston, hopefully, we close it out in game 4, sweep them. But, him and Luka getting healthy and that Bron looking like he 22 again.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
God bless that man. No, seriously, like. No one has been able to. I don't know if anyone's ever gonna be. I don't
I
know.
agree, yeah. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be
Yeah,
tough.
like it's a whole nother stratosphere with LeBron. Like I don't even. That's crazy. But yeah, I definitely been
Yeah.
watching a little in the past few. I definitely watched, seen the highlights though, of course, from the Lakers
Okay.
game. And who else is in right now? Because I was, of course, us being in Charlotte, I was all looped
Oh,
in with the home
yeah,
out to
that
do
would've been a
some.
great story. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and who just lost by 1 point? The Knicks.
Uh, I
Like,
once oh,
so,
yeah, the Knicks lost to the Hawks, yeah, the other night, yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
wanna say it was 109, 108, yeah. The Knicks, they blowing it.
so that would be cool. Like I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I wanna say the Hawks are up right now. I think they're playing them right now, and I think the Hawks are up. And then, before we close out, I wanna, uh, hit me with your, top 4. So, what are you talked about music early, what are you currently listening to? You know, what's your what's in rotation right now for Jasmine?
yes, okay, okay, okay. So right now, Don Toliver Octane is
Okay.
been
Yes,
for sure. That
I
has been.
agree.
I have been listening to a lot of Michael Jackson too because his movie just came
Okay.
out. Just Michael Jackson is timeless, of course. Me going back
Yeah.
to the past. Oh, but yeah, Michael Jackson for sure. I've been enjoying the Kanye album, Yay album, Bully. I think it's
Okay.
pretty
It
good
has
for.
I did like that. Couple of tracks, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. So I've been listening to that too. But yeah, Don Toliver got it right now. I'm gonna try
I
to go
agree.
see.
What's your 'Cause he's coming May.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to go see that. And then what's your favorite song off Octane?
Oh, dang.
Okay.
I know. That intro was crazy.
Oh, yeah, E95. Yeah,
Yeah, I like K9. I don't know, I like Brand, I like Pleasure's Mine.
okay.
A couple of different ones on there, but E85 kinda got it.
Okay, no, I like that. I agree that, Body's fire. And
Body f
honestly, the outro, was Sweet Like Home.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
What's
one, people sleep on it.
what's the one with hold on, let me pull it up really quick. The one with it says Teaser what is his name? Yeah, what's that?
I'm trying to remember the name of it.
All the That's it. I like All the Signs.
Okay,
And Sweet Home
okay.
I that's a good one, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, the whole album, it just flows through. I just be listening to it all the way through. I be having to go back and see
yeah.
what this was. Yeah. But yeah.
And definitely he gonna put on the show once he comes to Charlotte. It's gonna be a good show.
I've
So
seen
I'm
him twice
excited for
here.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So you're a big John Toliver fan.
Not really. It's a great show. I do go to
Okay,
concerts, though. That is
oh,
something. I like music, so I do go to a lot of, but no, I'm a fan. I'm
got
a
it.
fan. I'm a fan.
Okay. And then what you currently watching?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, nothing. I'm straight like podcasts. I do watch a lot of.
Okay, okay,
There is someone just put me on. I'm supposed to be watching two things that I guess the
okay.
whole that I have not seen, which is Game of Thrones and The Boys.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, The
hopefully
Boys
I'll.
is good. I've never seen Game of Thrones either, so I get
Oh,
it.
so The Boys
I've
is
never
good.
seen Yeah, The Boys is good though, but Game of Thrones, I mean, it's not that I couldn't get into it, but I felt like it was during the peak of its hype, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Alright, I'll probably watch it later." Never got into it or never, got into, like, wanting to watch it. Right now, I'm on a Marvel kick right now. I'm watching all the Marvel movies and Marvel shows, so I'm on Loki season 2 now. Yeah.
Wow. That's out now? Like is that a new thing? Or
Now
Loki?
Loki might have been because I think they canceled it, but yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I wanna say I don't remember the year it came out, but I just been on a big Marvel kick right now.
Can't go wrong with those. They actually be really good. I kind of like I didn't get put
It
onto that type
shocked
of stuff.
me.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
I
okay, the superhero movies, but like really watching like the stories and things like that. It's been fun to watch. And then what do you currently have going on in your world?
Yeah, so I have actually been doing, like I said, a lot of like graphic design and kind of like digital
Hmm.
collage. So I recently did just host a class at the Harvey Began Center for a digital
Okay.
workshop for people that want to learn how to kind of like collage small, basic for anybody, any all excuse me, all levels can kind of like come just
Hmm.
work Canva and not like the real extensive like Photoshop and stuff. So I do have something cool that is happening in June. We're still building that out, but I will be having something already began in June involving like digital arts. So definitely
Okay.
say I'll probably reach
Okay.
back, invite you, so into the
Definitely. I like it. And then what are you looking forward to in kind of these, next couple months and just, overall, even tomorrow?
yeah, just being honestly a steward for community and whatever that
Hmm.
looks want to like build out more with workshops
Hmm.
with teaching digital works or even just art in general. So being able to connect that, and like I said too, I don't know if I want to open up not a record store, but some
Okay.
it's like vinyl crawls or some type of collectors club within the
Hmm.
next. But yeah, and just focusing on myself. I'm been trying to travel as much, but just the airlines. There's been a lot going on.
It's a lot. It's
Hopefully this summer, God will bless me and be like, you know what, you can go on a for like 2 weeks. How about that? So
right. Where do you know where like you want to go? Because I know what last year you did Morocco. Do you know where
yeah,
you want to go next?
yes, I got two countries that I really want to try to go to, and that is
Hmm.
Brazil. So I
Okay.
had any Portuguese that is actually
Okay.
so
No
far
Duolingo. Yeah. You haven't been using Duolingo?
just for French and Spanish.
Okay. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. But I would love to go there too because I've heard that Brazil's art is amazing and they have a lot of like their music scene there is crazy too. Like they have a lot of
Hmm.
different things. And Portugal has a African like community space there of like and Brazil too, but because of course majority of people in Brazil are Afro Portuguese. But yeah, Portugal as well too. I think they're actually hosting Afro Nation there in is it June? Yeah, Afro Nation, which is basically like it used to be called Afrochella, which is like the Coachella,
Okay.
but like probably like Burna
Gotcha.
Boy,
Okay.
Wiz probably whole conglomerate will be there. So I would love to check out Portugal. I heard it so yeah, hopefully.
I like it. I like it. And
Yeah.
then before we close out, how can the people find you? Tap in with you and connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a few Instagram pages, but I'm just gonna give my general one. So
Yeah.
one is all things Jasmine, and it's spelled all things Jasmyn. And on
Mhm.
TikTok, it's as art dot studio. So JAZART dot studio.
Okay. No, love it. Love it. I appreciate you, Jasmine, for coming on. Definitely appreciate it and enjoyed the conversation. Definitely, different, spin from, what I typically do for the pod, but I appreciate you, coming on. Um, you know, to the people out there, thank you, as always for, listening to the rambles, for myself and, this time, Jasmine, but definitely, connect with Jasmine, guys. And until next time, guys, peace.
Yes, thank you for having me, Mohammed. Yes.
No, of
That was
course, of course. Appreciate you coming on.
absolutely.
All right.